Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope all is doing well and hope you're having a great day. Um, I want to play this news clip for y'all. It's a different news clip, but y'all see this this picture here of this lady that's half dark. They call it a birthmark, and half light. All right, but I want y'all to hear this. It's going to take me a minute to get my settings set back right so you can hear my computer sound or it'll echo, but just give me just a minute to get this done. But I'm going to show you something at the end of this video that it will make you think, will make you, because we've been lied to about a lot of stuff over the years. The life of Jesus Christ has been hid from us. I'm to the belief now that there's a good possibility that Jesus got married and had at least 2 kids, because things have been hid from us. And then the Dead Sea Scrolls, or in some of those documents they found, we're talking about where Jesus was calling Mary his wife, and companion meant wife back in those days. And Jesus never did teach celibacy. God said for us to come to the earth and multiply, replenish the earth. So anyway, but I want to get on with this right here. It's going to take me just a second to reset my settings on my...
Taylor Mull, who lives with a rare genetic trait known as chimerism. Chimerism, it's hard to say.
Yes.
She is her own twin. That's what
there you go.
It means. And also joining us is Taylor's mom, Sandra, and her doctor, Dr. Brandon Colby, who's a geneticist and founder of sequencing.com. All right, so Taylor, what does this mean when you want to have children?
As far as I've been told, I should be able to carry a baby. You know, the pregnancy hopefully should be normal. But it would be interesting once the baby is born, I believe, can do some testing to see if I technically would be like the mom or like the aunt, really. So...
I'm telling you, medical mysteries and miracles, right? That is not a misnomer.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to me. So let me ask you, Mom. So Sandra, when you were pregnant with her, did you have any idea that you had twins?
No. Twins do run in our family, but there was no, indication of anything like that. Mm-hmm. And like Taylor said, having her a natural birth, I didn't go through the normal testing that one might. So it's
just the birthmark when you saw her as a baby. It was just like,
and I did everything so perfectly, Mother Earth trying to make her everything right when I was going through the pregnancy, that when she came out, it was, quite startling.
Now, you know, Doc, that everybody out there with a birthmark is now thinking they are their own twin. So how do they figure out whether that's true or not?
Well, it is so unique what Taylor has that it is almost certain not to be chimerism. It's a very, very rare trait. And it's just, Taylor is 1 in a million. It occurs so infrequently that I, as a geneticist, I've never actually met another patient other than Taylor who has this trait.
And Taylor, can you tell me what, like, other than the birthmark?
Yes.
What is there anything else?
Yeah, there's definitely some weird things. I have a double tooth on my left side, and when I was young, like, the tooth would not stop growing. So the dentist finally had to shave the nerves so they would deaden. I have my belly button pierced, and it's in my siblings' genetic makeup. I can wear any kind of jewelry, like just junk jewelry. I have no problem with that. But my ears, and I used to have a little piercing here, I am so highly allergic. I cannot wear any kind of jewelry outside of white golds or 14 karat golds. I have insect bites on one side of my body that will swell, like almost like baseballs, like allergic, and the other side just little teeny tiny, like the size of a penny. So there are some other very unusual things.
Is there any cure for this?
There's no cure for it. It's just understanding Taylor as a unique individual, her body, how it responds to different substances, to the environment, and then Taylor learning how to modulate that so that she could live a healthier life. Mm-hmm. Her immune system is always going to be wacky, and Taylor's really good at detecting what sets it off and trying to avoid those substances.
Before I let you go, can you explain chimera? What's the chimera?
What is the chimera? It is originally from Greek mythology. It's known as a monster. that it's like 3 animals in one. So it has, I believe it's like the head of a lion, the body of a goat, and I think the tail of a snake. And that's where the term chimera originates from.
I like it. It makes you sound very exotic. What a fun sort of fact. I realize you've been dealing with some issues as a result of it, but it's a very interesting fact about yourself. Thank you for being so open about it.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful.
All the best to you.
Thank you.
Taylor, Sandra, and Dr. Colby, thank you all so much. We'll be right back.
Okay. This is a continuance of the video with the lady that's got the so-called birthmark. Now, they don't tell you the whole truth on that news clip. They kind of, even though there is a real condition called that, and if y'all remember, there's always a plus and a minus. There's always a real and a counterfeit. Satan always counterfeits anything God creates or any, like that. And here's an example of a story in the book of Enoch about Noah, the birth of Noah. Now I'm going to read this. And men can have this, or women too, and it just, I believe in the last days there's a lot of this going on both ways, God's way and Satan's way. Because, well, y'all know what's going on Satan's way with the stuff that's coming. They're doing now, with the jab stuff and all that. That's kind of part of. I think they're trying to rid the 144,000, the children of God. A lot of them is probably. Well, anyway, I'm not going to say too much on here, but y'all just have to read between the lines about all this. So I'm going to try to make it where you can read between the lines and know that there's an army of God and there's an army of Satan that's a little different, and it's not got nothing to do with absorbing your twin. It's a hidden DNA, and Donald Trump wants to, or he draining the swamp. He wants to drain this swamp right here. Is one of the swamps he wants to drain. It's the God's people that has the hidden DNA. All right, but what's strange about this whole thing is that a person can be born and their mother may not show up as their mother, because there's been people that went to court and the daddy wasn't the daddy. But but after further testing, they found out that he was. But the results showed that someone else was the father. So this is, in your reproductive system, there's billions of eggs. So people might not even be their own. Their father, their daddy may not be their real daddy, or their mama may not be the real mama. It's part of the last end times that God, the way God created it. But anyway, I'm going to go on with this right here. This is from the book of Enoch about, it may be in the Bible too, but in the book of Enoch, I think this gives a better detail. I don't know which one this is for sure because I didn't look at that. I just read the bolder letters here. But anyway, okay, Methuselah took a wife for his son Lamech, and she bore him a man-child, the body. And if y'all see that word right there, man-child, that's in Revelation, just worded just like that. The Revelation 12 sign, man-child. The body of the babe was white as snow and red as a blooming rose, and the hair of his head and his long locks were white as wool. His eyes were like the rays of sun. When he opened his eyes, he lit up the whole house like the sun, and the whole house was very full of light. And when he was taken from the hand of the midwife, he opened his mouth and praised the Lord of righteousness. Because this was Noah at a baby when he was first born. That's what happened. His father Lamech was afraid of him and fled and came and went to his own father Methuselah and said to him, I have begotten a strange son. He is not like a human being, but resembles the children of the angels of heaven. And his nature is different, and he is not like us. His eyes are as the rays of the sun. His countenance is glorious. And it seems to me that he is not sprung from me. That Lamech didn't think Noah was his son because of the features of Noah. And it seems that he is not sprung from me, but from the angels. I fear that in his days a wonder may be wrought on the earth. And now, my Father, I'm here to petition thee and implore thee that thou mayest go to Enoch, our father, and learn from him the truth. For his dwelling place is among the angels. And when Methuselah heard the words of his son, he went to Enoch, to the ends of the earth, and cried aloud. And Enoch heard his voice, and appeared before him, and asked him the reasoning of his coming. Methuselah told him the cause of his anxiety, and requested him to make the truth known to him. Enoch answered and said, The Lord will do a new thing on earth. There will become a great destruction on earth for a deluge, for 1 year. The son who is born unto thee will be left on the earth, and his 3 children will be saved with him. When all mankind that are on the earth shall die, there shall be a great punishment on the earth, and the earth cleansed from all impurity. And now make known to thy son Lamech that he who was born is in truth his son, and call his name Noah, for he will be left to you, and he and his children will be saved from the destruction which will come upon the earth. When Methuselah heard the words of his father, who showed him all the secret things, he returned home, and he called the child Noah, for he would cause the earth to rejoice in compensation for all the destruction. Now, some thought Noah was an albino, I think, and stuff like that. And that's one of the characteristics of this type of the condition that the lady has that I showed you on the news clip, is a person's eye may be a different color. Like, I think it was either Napoleon or Alexander the Great had a different colored eye. Okay, so this has been tracking down through these bloodlines. And it might happen and it might not. It just depends on when God's timing is for one of these eggs to be born. Okay, now I found this article here. I've had it for a couple of years about something that's really interesting. And if Jesus had children, but it really don't matter if Jesus had children or not, because Mary, his mother, went on and had more children. So, and being that same color of skin ain't the only way you can tell if you was to be one of these type of people. Okay, I found this on the Catholic365.com, and I thought it was pretty interesting, and it's a true article, really. So I'm gonna read this to you on here too, because it's got something to do with this the condition the lady has. All right, this is what's happening. It ain't got nothing to do with absorbing your own twin. Now, it's possible, I guess, that could happen, but the news makes up so many lies and stuff because they don't want you to know the real truth. People across the Christians and everybody, they don't want you to know the truth, the real truth. And I'm all about the real, 100% real truth of everything. I want to know the real truth from my Creator. I'm going to read this article. I'm not a very good fast reader, so y'all, if you please bear with me. Periodically, science teaches us something new about the human condition. With that new knowledge, we can reevaluate what we know about the world and its history. Let's talk about a newer known condition that all humans have called Microchimerism. Coming from micro, that means small, and chimera, Greek, mythological creatures that are the combination of different animals like a lion, goat, and a snake. That's mythological stuff there, but anyway, microchimerism occurs when cells from a pregnant mother and her unborn child are shared back and forth through the placenta. Many of these shared cells get cleaned out by each person's immune system if they are harmful. but many are compatible, just become cells with essentially different DNA living and becoming part of the mother and child. Sometimes the baby's younger fetal cells can help the mother fight diseases and cancers during the pregnancy. After a child is born, it has cells from the mother, and the mother has fetal cells from the child. It has been shown that almost 6% of the cells in a mother's blood are the child's after a mother gives birth. A child's cells identified by DNA has been found in the mother's brain, heart, liver, and other major organs decades later. That's what I'm talking about. Decades later, there may be people come along, especially at the end time. I think the 144,000 that's from the 12 tribes of Israel. I think this is possibly that they'll have some of this because they'll have special powers and stuff, that they can't be hurt or whatever. But and the two witnesses and stuff like that, I'll go on down here and continue reading. This is not science fiction. This is an observable fact, and microchimerism applies to all of us. Right now, some of your mother's cells are somewhere in your body. Many are forever locked in your brain and other organs. If you thought that you and your mother share a special connection, well, it just got a little deeper. The sharing happens with previous sibling cells as well as grandmothers and aunts and uncles' cells if they are still lingering in the mother's body. Don't get carried away, though. Your body is your body, and your mother's body is her body, too. After all, none of us own the blood that we freely give after a blood donation or an organ like a kidney where a person's life is saved from a transplant. But we do end up sharing a special relationship or newfound communion with the other person. Also, it's only a few million cells when we each have trillions. Microchimerism is a small portion of a percent, but what if we are talking about Jesus Christ's blood? Now that's what I'm talking about right there, because Jesus Christ's blood went into his mother during the pregnancy, stayed in 6%, or 6% of his blood stayed in her organs in her body, so those cells of his blood was in her blood. This is one reason the Catholics worship Mary, is because they believe she come divine because of this Jesus' blood staying in her body. And in a way, it's true in a way, but I just don't believe God. I believe God teaches us not to worship anybody except for Jesus Christ, But they think they're welcome to believe that, however they want to believe. But anyway, all right, let me go on and continue on. Apply microchimerism to the mystery of the incarnation. Mary would have had 6% of her blood cells being that of her sons, and Jesus would have had Mary's cells in his body. Imagine the glorious physical communion. It has been proposed that Mary would have had to have the graces of baptism before she become pregnant with Jesus, since she would be in communion with Jesus. But this microchimerism goes deeper. Mary would start to have Jesus' living cells passing into her body that would stay alive within her entire life after the incarnation. Jesus would always be with Mary physically, and Mary would always be with Jesus. Jesus would carry with him his mother's cells peppered all across his body. In fact, some of Mary's cells by DNA would die on the cross with Jesus. Science literally is telling us that some of the cells in Jesus' pierced heart were originally his mother's. I bet Simeon never thought about that when he told Mary her heart too would be pierced. A little bit of the blessed mother would have hung on the cross and died with Jesus. The knowledge of microchimerism calls for even a greater need for Mary to be immaculately immaculately conceived without the stain of original sin. Um, I'm not going to read the rest of that because it's more about Catholicism. Um, it reminds me that Mary was always and will be precious and special to her son. Okay, I'm going to end that. It ends there. This guy here is the one that wrote the article. And y'all can go read it on Catholic365.com and type in what Jesus and Mary shared in the search. But anyway, there's a lot of truth being hid from us. Like I say, there's a lot of information about Jesus's bloodline and Mary Magdalene's. Now I ain't saying it's true, so don't. The church world, and I want to say something here. All the denominations across the world, there's 66,000 of them according to Wikipedia. Now that's a strange number, 66. To two sixes, but anyway. Even my own, I was raised in like a Assembly of God type church, and even that denomination is a branch off of the Vatican Catholic Church. If everyone that hears me that goes to Nazarene, Baptist, Assembly of God, Pentecostals, you go research the history and you will find out that your denomination is a branch from the Vatican Catholic Church. Folks, when I was blind, I ain't saying I'm awake or fully awake or anything like that, but I'm saying I would have died for my denomination. That's how much I believed in it. I was blinded. Now, I believe there's a lot of good Christians, children of God, that's going to make it to heaven. That's good Christian people that's in those denominations. But you're kind of you just have to go research it for your own self. I would have man, I believed in mine was a I would, but anyway, I want y'all to, if you want to research this out, you'll find out about the Rh negative blood and all that. There's big lies about all that blood and the Rh negative and stuff. And, but because the truth is hard to find, it's like the pearl of great price. Very seldom can you find the real truth, but if you dig into something long enough, you'll start seeing the real truth. Now, I believe 95% of the stuff on the internet is lies. 90%, 95% of the videos that people make are offshoot of truth. There'll be a lot of truth, and then there'll be 2 or 3 lies, And so what I'm saying about all this, about if Jesus had children and Mary had children, like the documents say, that the history documents say that he was not celibate, he didn't teach it, that if him and Mary Magdalene had kids, they was going to hide that from us, from you, me. I'm not saying it's true, but I'm leaning now more towards that it's might be true than not true. I used to would have thought, oh, that can't be true. But now that I've researched it out, just like the spinning ball, if you see the motion of that spinning globe with all the moons, the sun, and how fast it's supposed to be going, really, some articles say a million miles an hour. If you'll see that there's videos that have the sun and all the stars spinning around all this stuff spinning around the sun. If you go look at that and just use your common sense that God gave you and look at that and watch that motion of that going a million miles an hour and ask yourself, can that really sustain that? But anyway, that wasn't what this video is about. I thank y'all for coming to my videos. Please share and like them.